This may be controversial, but if you're reading 52 books a year, you're probably learning nothing. Now, I'm not talking about, fiction books or maybe autobiographies. I'm talking about self-help or nonfiction books where you're actually trying to learn something. I see all the time people are talking about how to read a book a week or how to speed read. And I'm gonna be honest, I used to fall into this trap of wanting to learn how to speed read. I actually created a video on it. But the truth is, most people don't want to read, they want to have read because it feels good to buy a new book and get through a book and finish it. But the truth is, we should be reading not to be able to say that we read a certain book or a certain amount of books. We read so we can learn, and more importantly, so we can grow from the new information that we know. In this video, I'm going to be showing you my step-by-step protocol that I use to remember everything that I read. Nobody's talked about this before. I'm revealing it for the first time on this channel. Let's get into it. Now, there are 4 main types of readers. Listen for which one that you are. First, there are passive readers. Passive readers just read books or listen to audiobooks without taking any notes, right? So they just read the book or they'll just listen to audiobooks, no notes. The second tier is active readers. Active readers will take notes. So they might highlight text in the book. They might, underline or write in the books, but they're basically taking notes inside the book. But these highlights just end up remaining inside the book, never actually getting into their brain, and they just stay in the book. Then they put it on the shelf and then forget all the information. It's going in one ear and out the other. Now, the third type of reader, and again, there are 4 types, this is the third type, are intentional readers. So intentional readers are taking notes, and they might be taking notes in Obsidian or in a notes app. So they're taking notes external from the book, so outside of the book. Now, if this is you, what I want you to do is I want you to go through your notes app and look at some of the notes from the books you've read. Ask yourself, did you actually forget this information, or can you actually honestly say this information is inside your head? And then also ask, have you applied this information, or is it really just inside your head or staying in this notes app? There are 4 types of readers, and those are the 3 types of readers. Now, the 4th type of reader is somebody like me, and I'm going to explain that in a second. But before I can do that, extremely controversial, but I will die on this hill. Reading is not the best form of learning. In the 21st century, in 2025, it's not even close. See, I'm addicted to learning. I love learning and applying new information to my life. And I love learning from a whole bunch of different sources, from books, from Medium posts, from YouTube, and we like to think as a society that reading is the highest form of learning, right? But the truth is, there's a term that I want to introduce you to called learning efficiency. And you can define it like this: the quality of your learning equals how much valuable, applicable insight you absorb per unit of time. So for example, if you read for an hour and you only learn one quote or one thing, that means it took you 60 minutes to learn one thing. Versus you might watch a YouTube video, and in that 10-minute video, you learned 3 new things, right? So actually watching that YouTube video, you learned a lot more than reading for that 1 hour. So we love to think that reading is the best form of learning because it's the sexiest, right? There's a whole Instagram account just dedicated to taking pictures of men who are caught reading books in public. And so people want to buy books, they want to read books, and they want to have read books. But the truth is, if you're actually optimizing for learning and applying, reading a lot of times isn't the most effective way. At least what I found from learning, utilizing what I'm about to teach you allows me to learn so much faster and remember and actually apply the information to my life a lot easier versus just reading books. And so let's actually finally get into it and show you level number 4. I'm going to break down my protocol for remembering and applying information. So right now, I am learning about Michael Singer, everything about Michael Singer. If you don't know, he is the author of The Untethered Soul, as well as The Surrender Experiment and some other books. He is probably my favorite author, and I've learned so much from him. But I'm basically studying everything to do with Michael Singer and what he teaches about meditation, and basically letting go of your ego and understanding that, I am not Ashley, I am the consciousness that is watching Ashley, and basically detaching from myself and, my self-concept and all these ideas that I think are true about myself, right? And so that's basically the fundamentals of what he teaches. Now, reader D, which is who I am, is doing it completely differently. So let me just explain my protocol. Super simple. So this is basically what I do. Whenever I'm listening or reading, I'm basically taking notes in a notes app, and then I'm using ChatGPT, specifically using a GPT that is trained on the author's work, so it actually has the best results when you're asking questions. And I'm just asking as many questions as possible. So I'll show you what this actually ends up looking like. For the bigger authors, it's going to be really easy to go into ChatGPT and just search and explore GPTs and just search them right here. But for more niche authors, you're not going to be able to do this. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to create your own GPT, which it's just really easy to search how to create a GPT. And you just want to put in the PDFs from the books as well as like transcripts from YouTube videos or YouTube podcasts that they've been in. And so the GPT is being trained specifically on the author, and so it knows exactly what the author would be thinking. And so basically I'm reading, listening to whatever Michael Singer is saying or the author is saying, taking notes in my notes app, and then also just constantly asking questions to ChatGPT, giving me clarity on places where I'm confused. So for example, how do I stop getting so drawn into my thoughts, right? And this is with the specific Michael Singer GPT, and he explains how to do that based on specifically what Michael Singer would do. Is it okay to notice our ego and notice when we are maybe imagining situations where we look good or fantasizing or stuff like that and have empathy for our ego, or do we go about it differently? Right? So I'm genuinely curious and I have like questions. The ego's thoughts can't hurt me. The ego's thoughts aren't true. Is this good to say or no, and why? Right? So I'm trying to learn how to meditate, how to understand that I'm the awareness and believe that, and I'm asking questions, seeing if I'm doing it correctly or if I'm doing something wrong. Your goal when learning isn't just to compile information, it's to apply it. And so when you're trying to actually apply it, you're always going to have questions. And so you should be asking these questions to ChatGPT. Another thing that you're actually able to do with ChatGPT is create a plan to implement. So I forget what prompt that I use, but you can say something like, based on everything you know about Michael Singer, what is an actionable strategy that I can use to build a meditation habit? This is a routine that ChatGPT created for me. So ChatGPT is the cheat code because it's going to actually help you learn faster because you're able to ask questions and also help you apply it to your life. The truth is, if you're not asking questions about what you're learning, you're probably not deep enough into learning it. Take this ego out of reading and wanting to have read 52 books in a year and just focus on getting as much as possible out of the right information. I'm gonna be honest, like most self-help books are trash. It's like you read a self-help book and then the author is talking about their life for the first 2 chapters. It's like, I didn't buy this book just to hear you talking about your life. I bought this book to learn how to do the thing that you're promising. And so when you find the right self-help books, like Michael Singer or other people, they're going to be very dense in information, and you read the books, you take notes, and then you ask ChatGPT questions about the notes that you're taking and the places where you are confused. This is actually how you remember the information and you apply it, because it turns into something that's passive that you're just taking a note and forgetting, to something that you're actually using because you're asking ChatGPT and you're actively learning based on the questions that you are asking. Do you remember in class in school when you would ask a question, you would remember the answer to that question because you asked it, versus just being taught something? It's really easy to forget it because you had nothing to do with it. It was just taught to you. You can also ask ChatGPT to help you apply the information that you learned to your life.